up? Welcome back, Jay's Sideline. Been a long time, life been happening, but still been able to stay active with the FNS. Shout out to Matt, Freeze Corner, and all the throwback retro stuff that he been doing with the video game content. And then we got the Wives Unscripted. First episode, they talked about Usher versus Chris Brown. I would suggest y'all go check that out because I know a lot of folks is moved by them two entertainers, and it's definitely something that is a topic that would be worth listening to. They covering a lot of angles as to who would be better, who's the better entertainer, and y'all leave y'all opinions in the chat. But for now, getting back on this second episode of Jay's Sideline. I've been trying to figure this thing out for the longest and finally getting back to it. Right now, since I'm an Orlando Magic fan, my subject was going to be about Paolo Banchero. What's the next step for Paolo? Because Paolo showed his rookie season and last season that he can play in this league. Like it's no issue for him as far as the NBA is concerned. He can play in this league. The only issues that I have with Paolo is going to be what I plan to discuss and what I would like to see from him going into this season, hopefully. And he got a he's ahead of the snake for Orlando. So Orlando's going to go as far as he takes them. And he's got an okay backup in Franz Wagner. Franz got broke off. Franz is pretty solid. He himself is improving his game. But for Paolo in particular, the main thing that stands out to me for Paolo that I would like to see from him, I would like to see him take over games when it's time for him to do so. Like right now, it still gives a little bit of a vibe that he's just playing his role on the team, which is, okay, yeah, you're a team player and all, which is good, but there's some times where you need to step up and take over. That's where the guys that separate themselves from the crowd and become star players, superstar players, that's where the separation happens, because those guys can make plays in all the biggest moments that plays need to be made. When if you was just to run the offense in a traditional sense and trust the other guys to do it, which there's nothing wrong with that, but those guys wasn't first round picks for a reason. They skills ain't up there with his or with a normal superstar. Paolo, I would like to see him take over games more. Take over games more. Get into your rhythm of the game earlier. Because Paolo's a big dude. I forget what size exactly he is, but I think he's like in that 6'8", 6'9"-ish, 240 to 2 something, somewhere around there, pounds-ish kind of guy. I have to look it up. I don't have it in front of me. I'm actually driving right now, so I can't look it up. So I'm just going off the dome. But Paolo, he has the skill set to be able to, take over a game. Now, it's not the skill set that is advertised in the league today, for the most part, because he's not that kind of a three-point shooter. But who cares? Like, he has a skill set that if you give him the rock in that mid-range, let him post up, he can pretty much be a bucket against any one-on-one matchup. The only thing is when they would double team him, he has to be able to dish it out to somebody. And the way the trend of the league is going, it's dishing to the perimeter because the league values the three-point shooting. That's what they market. Orlando don't really got no snipers like that. So it's not as effective for Orlando as it is for other teams. But there's ways that you can get around it. Because what you can do without the ball in your hands, get to your spot on the court. Then when you get the ball, be quick about making your move and your decision. Don't be sitting there pounding it and letting seconds go by before you even made positive progress going towards the basket. You know, those are some things that can be done to defeat that. I mean, he should be pretty much unstoppable around that area, especially when you look at the landscape of the league. I mean, me and Matt talked about this before on previous episodes on the FNS. The talent pool in the league is pretty dry. Like it's not what it used to be, especially in my favorite era of basketball in the 2000s, where each position had a healthy amount of good players. And even the players that wasn't superstars, they was legit players where they can play with superstars. They still would get beat in the total matchup, but they'll be able to get theirs at points throughout the game. It's not really like that no more. So for a guy like Paolo, working in that mid-range with a post game, like Paolo, he should be looking at a guy like Carmelo Anthony's game in the post and be that same bully that Melo was. That's what he should be trying to get to, because he already has the body for it. He could get in better shape, hit the gym, get some more muscle on him, and he will be stronger than almost anybody that he would match up against. What I don't want to happen is I don't want in his development, I don't want that to be turned into, we're going to turn you into a three-point shooter type of stuff. Because I don't really care for all of that. Like, it's good to be able to knock down threes when you open and stuff like that, or when defense is sagging off. But if you're going to try to cater your game to just shooting threes, you're going to hurt your game. You're going to hurt your game. Because not everybody is Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Kevin Durant. You know, those guys are special in that degree for a reason, but that doesn't mean that's the only reason, that's the only way to win a championship. You know? So I feel like Paolo, he needs to be more aggressive in certain moments to be able to get himself going and take over the game. That's what I would like to see from him. He could get a little bit better with his ball handling, but this goes back to the point of the drought of the league. You know, we don't got too many traditional point guards anymore. And Orlando is a team that doesn't really have a real point guard at all, or anybody that's like got a good handle. Like, we was hoping for Cole Anthony to be somewhat like that, and he's not even starting. You know, Jalen Suggs was a high draft pick. He's not that dude either. But Jalen Suggs' value, this dude, he scraps throughout the whole game. Like, he's the ultimate hustler. Diving for loose balls, sprinting to try to play defense. His defensive impact has changed some games. He's just not that offensive player. Which is, you know, if he works on his game enough to where he's not a liability, he'll be just fine. But for Paolo, being that he's the head of the snake, the offensive guy, I think he averaged a little over 20 points a game this past season. We need to get that in the 25 plus neighborhood. If he can do that, you know, that's really the difference between making a couple of more shots than you wasn't making before. And that can just be something as simple as shot selection or aggressiveness. You know, getting to the free throw line. So that way everybody, you know, when it comes to guarding you, they pretty much have to foul you. And so that's something that Paolo can definitely work on with his game. I feel like he's still, you know, getting better and better and better. I listened to the Gilbert Arenas episode or segment where they talked about him, and they felt like, you know, what would be best for him is to leave Orlando. I understand the reasons why, because Orlando doesn't have a winning reputation when it comes to being contenders and things of that nature. You know, they've had the reputation of being a Mickey Mouse organization, pretty much. You know, we just happy to be in existence. You know, I mean, Orlando's been to the finals a couple of times. Shaq, Dwight. There's no reason why every franchise in the NBA shouldn't at least have a legit chance to win a championship without the NBA politics getting involved. If each franchise does their job and they draft well and all the whole nine, and players develop, each franchise should realistically have a chance to win a championship. So I'm saying that to say this: Orlando has a lot of young players that, if they continue to develop on the track that they are on, Orlando could be a very dangerous team. What Orlando is missing: a real point guard, 3-point shooting. Like, they need somebody for that role. I don't know if they got that on the roster right now. I mean, I know Jet Howard is supposed to be somewhat of a really good shooter. So we'll see what happens in his development, because he hasn't really played much. Caleb Houston was supposed to be another one of those. I have to look and see if he's even still on the roster. But the point is, 3-point shooting has been at a deficit for Orlando's roster. And then the other thing is a paint defender. We need a real paint defender. Now, I like Batazi. I think that's how you say his name. I like him. He doesn't get a lot of playing time above Wendell Carter Jr. and the other Wagner brother. But I feel like when it comes to defending the paint, he's better than both of them. Wendell Carter Jr., I really don't know why he's still even on the team. Like, he get did greasy by any and everybody, no matter who the matchup is. He get did greasy by any and everybody. It doesn't help that he's undersized. So he's undersized, don't defend the paint, ain't nobody scared to go at him. Mo Wagner, he's got size, he's got some offense, but he ain't no defender neither. Batazi, though, he makes some defensive plays down there. So amongst what's on the roster right now, he's the best option for that. That's not really saying a lot. So they need a paint defender. So Paolo ain't really working with the best of talent here, but that shouldn't stop him from improving his game. He definitely could just impact his team so much more just by being aggressive. And because here's the thing, when superstars or superstar caliber players are aggressive and get themselves going, that takes pressure off of the rest of the team, because teammates can look at you when nothing is going right. They can look for you on the floor and believe that they'll be able to score, or they'll be able to get at least an easier look just off of your presence. And so if Paolo does that, he'll help the team so much in that aspect. We already seen that he's capable of getting busy in this league. So he can definitely, have an impact on the game just by being a more aggressive, consistent. Stop looking to just run the play. Go on the floor and demand the ball. Demand the ball. Get into his spot, which I think is the mid-range. Use his body. That post-up game that he got. Work on that. And he will be unguardable. I mean, he kind of already is to a degree. But he can even be more so than that. So, Paolo can definitely get better. He's young in his career. We haven't seen the best of him yet. Defensively, I need to talk about defense. Defensively, he could be better. It seems like he just relies on his body frame, being the height that he is with the length that he has. He just relies on that. He needs to, because there's not too many players at his position that are the number one offensive threats on the team. I ain't gonna say he has nights off. I ain't gonna say he has nights off. I'm gonna say that he can focus his defensive attention to helping his teammates a little bit more. Which a lot of that is moving your feet. And probably the biggest thing is, like, to be a good defender, you have to want to play defense. And for him, he can do that. Because it's not like he don't have the athletic ability to do it. It's not like he don't have the size to do it. He just got to go do it. I mean, like, you can't have yourself be matched by the other team. Yeah, if you was able to get to scoring 30 points, that doesn't mean nothing if you gave up 30 in your matchup. That doesn't mean anything. You gotta overpower your matchup in order for you to have the proper impact on the game. You gotta be effective on both sides of the ball. If you can't do it, then you gotta be surrounded by defenders that'll do it for you. Think about the Steph Currys of the world. Think about Carmelo Anthony when he was in his era. Carmelo had Marcus Camby, Birdman, played with Kenyon Martin, had Chauncey Billups for a second, had Tyson Chandler on the squad, Iman Shumpert. He had guys that could take that weight off him. Steph Curry, look at his whole career. He's a defensive liability. But he's still able to still have his impact on the game, because when it comes to the defensive side of the ball, he's been surrounded by good defenders. Still has one on his team, Draymond Green. Then Andre Iguodala. Klay Thompson would defend the point guards for him instead of him. He's been hitting a lot. Gary Payton, Sean Livingston. Even though, like, Sean Livingston, he might not be the coldest defender, but he would defend his matchup. So Paolo, he doesn't really have nobody like that outside of Jalen Suggs. And Jalen Suggs, he can impact the game defensively. Paolo himself can help carry some of that weight. He can help carry some of that weight. With his size, and he works on his footwork, he should be able to defend the perimeter better, to where he can guard a matchup, especially older players now, like Paolo. He should be able, like, he has the size to where he should be able to limit certain players. Like, probably the best matchup that he has in the league as far as having to guard this guy is probably Kevin Durant. And giving Kevin Durant is a headache to guard. But with Paolo's size, he can limit what he allows Kevin Durant to do. And Kevin Durant, he should not be able to get anything driving to the basket with Paolo. He should have to just settle for jump shots the whole time. Which is, look, Kevin Durant, he's such a great player to where he'll be all right with that. But I believe that almost all the deadliest scorers that this league has ever seen, they are the most deadly when they can get whatever they want in whatever situation. If they want to drive to the basket, they can drive to the basket. If they want to go left, they can go left. If they want to go right, they can go right. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't let the matchup have like an all-you-can-eat buffet when you're guarding. You got to take away some things. So that's what Paolo can do. He can take away some things and make those great scorers have to live in one world where it's just, I gotta shoot jump shots. And he has to contest those. Just because he doesn't give up anything as far as to the paint, but nothing easy there, you got to contest the jump shots. You got to make life a little hard on him. Still be there to contest them. Don't give up anything easy, but be there to contest. You know, I mean, and a lot of that, a lot of being a good defender too, you have to know your opponent really well. You got to know your day-to-day tendencies. What do they like to do the most? Is it like a Caitlin Clark thing where anytime she's coming off the right, she's looking to shoot? Anytime she's coming off the left, she's looking to pass, kind of deal? Like, those are the things that you should be able to learn about each and every matchup if you are a real student of this game. So those are the things that I feel like Paolo can work on to take that next step. Ultimately, offensively too, like, be more aggressive, add a little bit more post game to him. Doesn't really have to be a sniper from three, just be able to knock him down when they leave you open. Like, if he shoots 3 3-pointers a game, I'm satisfied. You know, and let the defense determine how many open shots they're gonna get you. But he should be averaging 25 plus points a game. 28 would be lovely. Would be so much better if he can do 28. But 25 would be, like, you know, solid enough to where he can still, you know, be in that conversation. And then the other thing, with his size and body frame, fight for the boards. Fight for the boards. Not saying that he has to get 10, because that's not his position. He's not a power forward or a center. But he can give me 8 rebounds. All you have to do, that's another thing. All you have to do is try. Like, you really got to want the ball to go and get the ball. So if Paolo can give me 8 rebounds a game, man, that'll be dope. That'll be dope. If he can average 25 and 8, and let's say, like, whenever he gets doubled and stuff like that, like, he needs to know the offense enough to where when it's time for him to dish it off to like a cutter or somebody doing backdooring and stuff like that, he should be able to get 5-6 assists for game 2. 5 to 6 assists. If he can give those kind of numbers, Paolo would be on the steady ascension. Because this is still his going into his 3rd, 4th season or something like that. So he's still a young player. He's still learning how to play in the NBA and whatnot. That'll be good ascension for him. So he would be good for that, in my opinion. Because basketball, to be a complete player, it's more than about scoring. It's more than just your ability to shoot. It's more than just your ability to dribble. You got to have an IQ for this game. You got to know where everybody's at on the floor. You got to understand floor spacing. You got to understand tendencies for the other team and for your team, so you know when to get your teammates the ball the best time. Those kind of things stand out, and you can tell who the real students of the game are. You know? So, Paolo's still young, got a lot to learn. He seems... The Magic coach seems to be good. He himself is still learning. So we'll see what he turns into as time goes on. But the Magic overall, youth that's still learning how to play. That's what I got for Paolo. Now the other subject that I want to talk about. This is another subject that hits me in the chest personally. I'm going to transition to football. College football, to be exact. My team is Florida State. We're starting off the season with 3 straight losses. We lost in another country to Georgia Tech. Then we came home and lost to Boston College. Then we just lost again to Memphis. I didn't really get to watch the Memphis game like that. I tried to keep up with it. I watched what I could of it. Here's the issue that I have right now with Florida State. We soft on the line of scrimmage. And at times it looks like we soft on both sides of the ball on the line of scrimmage. We can't establish the run on offense, and that doesn't help because our quarterback DJ Uiagalelei, he don't need to play football, man. Like he's one of the, when Florida State got DJ, I was not excited at all because I kind of knew that he wasn't like that. And if he was like that, he would still be the quarterback for Clemson. If he was really like that, he would never had need to transfer out of Clemson and to go start at Oregon State. Like, he's not like that. And I don't know why we went after him in a transfer portal. Which, to me, that points at Mike Norvell. Because with his style of offense that he wants to run, he needs a quarterback that has mobility. DJ, he looks like a statue back there. He's very slow when it comes to running and moving around, elusiveness, evading pass rushers. Like, looking at him annoys me and frustrates me so much. It's so annoying. But he's not the only reason why. Look, winning the line of scrimmage. Our offensive line can't push nobody around. Nobody. From these last 3 games, we can't push nobody around. We can't establish a run game, and we can't protect the quarterback on any level. We can't protect him at all. Defensively, on the line of scrimmage, we got Patrick Payton. He's supposed to be the next defensive lineman that comes out of Florida State. He alright. Like, he ain't like what Brian Burns was for us. He ain't like what Jermaine Johnson was for us. He ain't like what Jared Verse was for us. He's alright. You know, he don't have an impact every series of the game. I should say that. He don't have an impact. He has his moments where he does look really good. But for the most part, he get pushed around too. The defensive line inability to stop the run paired with the linebackers' inability to read running lanes properly and shoot the gap and stuff any hole that the running back wants to run through. Like, dog, it's really so annoying to watch. But I believe in pulling problems from the roots. And my finger points right back to Mike Norvell. Because even last year, when we was winning, when we was undefeated in the regular season, Mike Norvell's offense, it gets on my last nerves. And maybe it's the trend of the college stuff or whatever. But Mike Norvell, too much of his offense happens behind the line of scrimmage. I can't tell you how many times you try to see sweeps, how many times you try to see wide receiver screens. Like, it's so predictable. And you can tell it's so predictable because teams react to it so fast. It's like they know that this is what's coming. Mike Norvell, he doesn't run no real offense, which probably tells you why a guy with the athletic ability of a Keon Coleman, a guy with the size and the catch radius of a Johnny Wilson, given those two weren't all world players, but if they were used properly, they would look better. If you was to attack down the field more, or have them actually run somewhat of a route tree and let them use their size and their athletic ability doing that to be a real wide receiver in playing football, then maybe you would get better production out of that. And think about it too, again, last year, Jordan Travis being the quarterback, right? How many times did Jordan Travis essentially had to escape for his life to make something happen? We wasn't really winning the line of scrimmage last year. At least not on a consistent basis. We did it more than this year from what it's looking like. But last year, just pull up Jordan Travis highlights, man. Like, this dude, like, he was kind of like a Kyler Murray-ish kind of elusiveness in the pocket. Being able to extend plays and make plays like that. Like, just pull up the YouTube highlights of Jordan Travis and you'll see what I'm talking about. Because it shouldn't be all that necessary for a quarterback to do that to be effective in playing the game. Now, given Jordan Travis, he's not the greatest quarterback from the neck up. But when it came to that stuff down, like his athletic ability and whatnot, you can shine doing that in college. You can really shine doing that in college. But, dog, like, his offense is really getting exposed by getting a statue quarterback. And I can't really say that we have cream of the crop talent around this guy neither. Like, Keon Coleman, transfer portal. Johnny Wilson, transfer portal. Trey Benson, transfer portal. You know what I'm saying? It's like Mike Norvell, he's lived in the transfer portal so much, he doesn't really know how to develop talent. I'm starting to get that impression. That he doesn't really know how to develop talent. Because if he knew how to really develop talent, what would be the need to constantly dive into the transfer portal? You wouldn't need it that bad. You wouldn't need the transfer portal because the freshmen that you recruited, the so-called 4-star players that you recruited, they would be ready. But this guy has made a living in the transfer portal, and it's looking like it saved his inability to actually coach. Because he does not have a sustainable offense year in, year out. It looks elementary. It looks like some schoolyard stuff. It doesn't look like anything that's drawn up with the purpose to actually get down the field. Everything that he's drawn up and doing, he's just having this thought that every screen is going to work. Every sweep toss play is going to work. Too many things happen behind the line of scrimmage. Like, it gets on my nerves. I get a headache watching. For real. So, Florida State right now, we're getting bullied around, man. And it's not like we don't got talent, because when you look at the recruiting classes, supposedly, we got talent. Even in the transfer portal, we got talent. We got talent here. Mike Norvell, his offense, he doesn't know how to use the talent that he got properly. That's the impression that I'm getting, because it's been what? This is Norvell's 4th or 5th year or something like that. Dog. He has yet to have an offense that really looks dominant. Like, even in the years when we had high scoring games, it didn't look dominant. Like, it looked like you'll be watching the game and you'll be like, all right, now we need to do something. And then they would do something because of the talented players that he had. You know? But it never looked easy. It always looked like it was a dogfight for us to get what we got. You know? You was always on your heels with us, because the 1 or 2 plays that was made in the game that was the difference for us to win are the same 1 or 2 plays that we can't make this year. And I'm sitting here like, if this dude really had an offensive mind like that, then, you know, offense would be consistent. It wouldn't look as ugly. Like, there's too many 3 and outs. You know what I'm saying? It's too many 3 and outs. It's too many close calls where it's like, oh man, they got the first down, but they got it by the skin of their teeth. Like, no, bro. Like, I'm really like frustrated with Mike Norvell. He gets on my last nerves right now. And the fact that we couldn't beat a team in Memphis that's not even in one of the top conferences of college football, but this is the school that Mike Norvell came from. Mike Norvell came from the Memphis Tigers. He gets beat by the team that he came from. Keep in mind, anytime those smaller schools come and they play at the big school's house, like, there's incentives for them to do that. And the Memphis Tigers, they made $1.3 million because they won, beating Florida State in Tallahassee. Just listen to how that sounds. Like, dog, Mike Norvell, each game this season for 3 games, nothing about his offense looked crisp, like they was ready. Nothing about it looked that way. Everything looked like players didn't do anything in practice. That's what everything looked like. Look disorganized, not knowing what you're doing, sloppy execution on the plays. And even if you did execute the plays at a high rate, you're still behind the line of scrimmage 9 times out of 10. You're behind the line of scrimmage and you have to make something out of nothing. And it just looks like we don't have those special players that can do that this year. So he's not being masked no more by his inability to call a good, sound offense. That's the biggest gripe with Florida State, man, because it's not like we don't got players. We do have some players. We don't got the offensive firepower that we've had, mainly at quarterback. I can't really fault the running backs. I can't really fault the wide receivers because they're not putting in positions to be successful. Like, this offense that he's running, he's asking something of the players that's not their specialty. So Mike Norvell is probably the biggest problem with Florida State. It just isn't seen right now. It just people don't want to accept that, or they might not be willing to accept it because of going undefeated last year. But when you think about what was going on last year, Jordan Travis, Keon Coleman, Johnny Wilson, Trey Benson, the offense last year, the top offensive weapons last year, all those guys gone. They in the NFL. They got drafted. Keon Coleman, he got drafted to the Bills. Johnny Wilson got drafted to the Eagles. Jordan Travis got drafted to the Jets. Trey Benson got drafted to the Cardinals. Defensively, there is no Jared Verse. There is no Braden Fisk. There is no Jarian Jones. Or the other corners that we got. Those guys drafted. They in the NFL. You don't have them. So you eventually got to show that you can develop the guys that you really recruit out of high school instead of just relying on the transfer portal. It's not a sustainable way to have success to be reliant on the transfer portal. There's nothing wrong with going into a transfer portal to get to one or two pieces that you might feel like you're missing. But if like all the pieces that you getting that is good players that look good, like good players are coming from the transfer portal, that's a problem. That's a problem. And it doesn't help that Florida State has all the issues going on with them as far as the trying to get out the ACC. Like those legal issues right now, paired with looking bad, it doesn't really look good. It doesn't look good at all. Not one bit. And last year, I felt like Florida State did dirty by not getting put in the playoff, even though Jordan Travis got hurt. You never know what's going to happen with backup quarterbacks. You never know what kind of story can be written with that, okay? I mean, look at what happens in the past with backup quarterbacks, okay? If you're talking just college football, Alabama, when Jalen Hurts got sat down, that was the birth of Tua Tagovailoa. Why is it that the backup quarterback for Florida State doesn't have a chance to do that? Just saying, you know. And you can even do that with the pros.
How's it going?
What's going on?
Chocolates for you, my man?
Yeah, let me get this. Appreciate you, sir. Going through a car wash. This car wash, I forget the name of it. Magical Touch or whatever it is. They car wash is on point, man. They be giving you candy and then whatever, whatnot. But anyway, back to Florida State. It's just frustrating that he can't seem to rely on his own players. He has to constantly go out and get something else, you know. And all those players that I named, they were like on the offensive side. All those players that I named, they was all transfer portal players. They were not recruited out of high school players. So that just lets you know you can get a lot of good things out the transfer portal, but you shouldn't be reliant on the transfer portal. But man, look, Florida State, I'm preparing myself to not even have a 500 record this year, bro. Because when you get pushed around like the way I've been seeing Florida State get pushed around, you got to question, who can you be? Who can you be? Because it's really embarrassing to get beat the way that the way Florida State's been getting beat. It's embarrassing. Appreciate you. But you know, I'm already looking forward to next season. I'm already willing to let go of Mike Norvell. I'm ready for him to get fired. Will it happen? No. It's not gonna happen. Because when you go 13-0 one year, they ain't gonna fire you the next year just because you had a bad year. They just gonna look at it like a bad year. But I'm looking beyond the success of the years that he had. He's not gonna. I don't know. I don't have any confidence that he can turn it back around to be in the college football playoff contending team that we was last year, which was his best year with us. So that's my thoughts. Y'all look out for more of these episodes coming. Shout out to Matt figuring out another way that I can do things like this, so that way you can get more episodes of the Jay's Sideline. But like and subscribe, share the content. Definitely go support the rest of the FNS family. That's peace out.